You are listening to Still Within, where Stoic stories become your quiet companion through the night. Tonight, we explore one of the deepest human struggles, the art of letting go. We hold on to so much, to people, to moments, to the versions of ourselves that no longer exist. We hold on because we believe that if we release our grip, we'll lose something essential: love, identity, purpose, connection. Yet the Stoics understood something different, that what we hold too tightly is often what binds us to suffering. Attachment, they taught, is not love. It is fear disguised as care. And pain, when we cannot let go, is not punishment. It is the body and soul trying to teach us what freedom really means. Imagine the ancient port city of Nicopolis, where the philosopher Epictetus taught his students long after being freed from slavery. The sea winds would whip through the marble colonnades, carrying with them the scent of salt and distance. His students gathered close, shivering in their cloaks, while Epictetus spoke with a calm authority that could silence a crowd. He would tell them, "When you kiss your child, your friend, or your lover, remind yourself that you are kissing a mortal, not as a warning of doom, but as a reminder to love without possession, to appreciate without illusion, because everything that exists, everyone you meet, every joy you experience, belongs first to nature, not to you." The Stoics saw the world as a grand flow of events, each arising and fading according to reason, the divine order of nature. What we call loss, they saw as transformation. What we call ending, they saw as continuation in another form. But for us modern souls, letting go feels like death because we confuse holding with living. Think of how often you've said, "I can't lose them," or "I can't let this go." What you mean beneath those words is, "I don't know who I'll be without this." And that is the crux of attachment. We tether our identity to what is outside us, forgetting that everything external can be taken away. The Stoics believed that the only thing that truly belongs to us is our own reasoned choice, what they called the prohairesis. Everything else is on loan from the universe. Your relationships, your possessions, your reputation, even your health. They are entrusted to you for a time, but they are not yours. When Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "Soon you will have forgotten everything, and everyone will have forgotten you," he wasn't being cynical. He was freeing himself. He was reminding himself that even the emperor of Rome is subject to the same natural laws as a slave or a beggar, the law of impermanence. And yet, for all his philosophical strength, Marcus struggled, as we all do. He lost children, faced betrayal, and carried the crushing solitude of command. There were nights when even he, the philosopher king, would write as if whispering to himself, "Endure, let go, return to what is in your control." The truth is, letting go is not a single act, but a practice, one the Stoics return to daily. Because letting go does not mean indifference. It does not mean shutting down your heart. It means loving in alignment with reality. Loving what is, rather than clinging to what you wish would remain. Seneca once said, "He who has learned how to die has unlearned how to be a slave." Death to him was not simply the end of life, but the continual act of release, the death of attachment, of fear, of illusion. Every time we let go of what we cannot control, we are rehearsing for freedom. So why do we resist it so much? Because the human mind is wired for permanence. It seeks patterns, security, belonging. Our hearts are full of echoes, the laughter of those we've loved, the warmth of moments we wish we could replay. We want the world to stay as it was when we were happy. But the Stoics would gently remind us nothing stays. They would point to nature as the greatest teacher. The river never clings to its water, and yet it never runs dry. The tree loses its leaves each year and still stands firm, ready for spring. To hold on too tightly is to fight the very current of life. And so the Stoic path begins not with detachment, but with understanding. Understanding that pain is not the enemy, resistance is. When we stop resisting the natural flow of change, the ache begins to soften. The world does not stop shifting, but we stop fighting its motion. Epictetus told his students, "Seek not for events to happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do." That single sentence contains the seed of liberation. It does not ask us to stop feeling, only to stop wishing that reality would be different. There's a kind of tenderness in that wisdom. Because it does not scold you for feeling loss, it teaches you how to live alongside it. Tonight, as you listen, perhaps there is something or someone your heart still clings to. Maybe a friendship that faded without closure, a love that ended before you were ready, or a version of yourself you can't quite say goodbye to. The Stoic way is not to force the release, but to understand it. To see that what you loved was never truly yours to keep. It was a chapter in the great story of your life, written for a time, then passed back to the author, to nature. You are not lesser for grieving. You are human. But the Stoics would invite you to grieve without chains, to love without owning, to remember without being imprisoned by memory. Letting go in their eyes was an act of courage, not because it is easy, but because it demands faith. Faith that life knows what it's doing, that you can be whole again even after loss, that nothing essential is ever truly taken from you. In that faith, freedom begins. And freedom, the Stoics believed, was the highest form of peace. It is the moment when your heart says, I release you, not because you are unworthy, but because I wish to be free. I let go not to forget, but to remember who I am beneath the weight. When you learn to let go, you stop living as a prisoner of outcomes. You stop waiting for others to give you permission to heal. You remember what the ancients knew, that the soul renews itself not by accumulation, but by surrender. The nature of holding on is fear. The art of letting go is wisdom. So tonight, let this be your quiet beginning. Not a demand to erase what you love, but an invitation to love differently. Not through possession, but through presence. For as the Stoics taught, everything you hold will one day return to the flow of the universe. And the sooner you accept that truth, the sooner you will feel what Marcus felt on those long Roman nights. A deep, unshakable calm. A peace that does not depend on keeping anything, because it has already learned to lose beautifully. Attachment begins quietly. It starts as something innocent. A fondness for someone's voice, a sense of belonging in a familiar place, or the comfort of having plans and certainty. But slowly, almost without notice, it hardens into dependency. We begin to believe that our peace, our identity, and even our worth depend on what we hold. The Stoics saw this shift not as love deepening, but as freedom narrowing. Seneca wrote, "He who is a slave to his desires, even if he is a king, is still a slave." The paradox is that the tighter we hold on to what we love, the more we fear its loss. And that fear, subtle, constant, begins to shape the way we live. It dictates our choices, fills our quiet moments with anxiety, and makes the present feel fragile. The thing we cherish most becomes the thing we most dread losing. Epictetus warned against this trap often. He reminded his students that everything we touch, everything we love is temporary and outside our control. When you kiss your child, he said, say to yourself, I am kissing a mortal. It wasn't a command to withdraw or become cold. It was a way to love more wisely. When we accept impermanence, we don't love less, we love more truthfully, because we stop pretending that anything or anyone belongs to us. Attachment in the Stoic view isn't just emotional dependence. It's a distortion of perception. When we cling, we don't see the person or situation as they are, we see what we want them to be. We begin to live inside a story of possession, my partner, my success, my peace. But nothing in nature truly belongs to us, not even our own body, which time will eventually reclaim. This doesn't mean the Stoics denied emotion. Marcus Aurelius felt deeply. His writings are filled with tenderness for friends, for the beauty of dawn, even for the fragility of human life. But he also saw how easily affection can become attachment, and how attachment breeds suffering. Everything is ephemeral, he wrote. The famous and the obscure alike are swallowed by time. Remember that you are a part of nature, not apart from it. In that realization lies freedom. When we see everything as part of a greater flow, we stop resisting its movement. The river doesn't cling to a single stone, it passes over it, around it, and continues onward. So too should we. Yet letting go is not easy because attachment offers illusionary safety. It tells us that if we hold on tightly enough, if we plan perfectly, love intensely, protect fiercely, we can prevent loss. But life has no such guarantees. The Stoics knew that control is a story we tell ourselves to calm the fear of uncertainty, and that story, though comforting, keeps us from peace. Think of how often we live chained to invisible weights. The relationship that ended years ago but still lingers in memory. The failure we replay, hoping the past might change. The expectations we cling to, of how life should have gone, of what others should have said, of who we should have become. Each one a strand of attachment woven into a net that binds us. Seneca, who lost his son early in life, wrote with startling clarity about this pain. He said, "What need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears." Yet he did not mean we should despair. He meant that to be human is to live amid change and loss, and that wisdom begins when we stop fighting this truth. Mourning what is gone is natural, but to cling is to live in resistance to the nature of things. Modern psychology echoes this insight. Attachment often arises not just from love, but from fear. Fear of emptiness, fear of insignificance, fear that without something or someone to anchor us, we will disappear. The Stoics saw this differently. They believed our worth is intrinsic, tied to our capacity for reason, virtue, and presence. not to what or whom we possess. Epictetus once told his students that life is like a voyage. The ship stops at port, and you step ashore to gather fresh water. On the way, you might see a beautiful shell or flower. You can pick it up, admire it, even hold it for a while. But when the captain calls you back to the ship, you must drop everything and go. If you are old or sick, he said, never stray far, for when the captain calls, you must leave what you hold. This is the Stoic image of life itself. We are travelers, not owners. Everything we love is something we are merely borrowing for a time. When we accept this, we can love more purely, without the hidden demand that things stay the same. But how? Do we practice this in daily life when the attachment feels unbearable? When letting go feels like erasing a part of ourselves? The Stoics would begin not with action, but with observation. To see clearly is the first step toward release. Notice what your mind clings to. Is it a person, a role, a version of yourself? Notice the stories you tell around it, the if only, and what if that loop endlessly. The Stoics would call these impressions, or phantasiae, appearances that feel true but may not be. When you examine them, you begin to loosen their hold. Marcus Aurelius practiced this every day. In his meditations, he often wrote reminders to himself, phrases like, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." These were not morbid thoughts, they were acts of liberation. Each time he faced the truth of impermanence, he became less a prisoner of fear. We live in a world that celebrates attachment, career, identity, possessions, relationships, all seen as reflections of success. But beneath that glitter lies anxiety. Because if your peace depends on anything outside yourself, it will always be fragile. The Stoic task, then, is to shift from dependence to alignment, from clinging to flowing. Letting go is not abandonment. It is alignment with what is real. To let go of someone does not mean you stop caring. It means you release the illusion that you can shape their path or preserve the moment forever. To let go of control does not mean indifference. It means trust. In the order of things, a trust born not of naivety but of wisdom. When we practice this kind of release, we begin to rediscover something deeper: lightness. The world feels less threatening, relationships more genuine, life more fluid. In the silence left behind by what we release, something ancient and calm awakens the part of us that knows we were never meant to hold everything so tightly. Marcus Aurelius once described this peace as a mind that is self-contained, doing what is right, accepting what is given, and welcoming what comes. In that simple triad lies the Stoic way to freedom: to act with virtue, to accept the moment, and to trust the flow of nature. If you feel the pull of attachment now, if there is something you cannot seem to let go of, remember this: what you love is not leaving you. It is returning to the whole from which it came. And so are you. The task is not to hold tighter, but to open your hands and let life breathe through them again. Because letting go is not a loss, it is a return to peace, to clarity, to the self that was always whole beneath the grasping. We like to think of ourselves as in control. We plan our days, chase goals, hold expectations about how others should act and how life should unfold. We imagine that with enough willpower, enough effort, we can bend reality toward our desires. Yet life has a quiet way of reminding us otherwise. The Stoics called this reminder fate, not as an unkind force, but as the natural order of things. Epictetus taught that there are only two realms in existence: what is up to us and what is not up to us. This simple division is the foundation of Stoic peace, and yet it is also the hardest truth to live by, because the mind resists it. We want certainty. We want to believe that our actions guarantee results, that love guarantees love in return, that effort ensures success. But as every human life eventually discovers, control is mostly an illusion. The Stoics did not see this as despairing news. In fact, they found in it the path to freedom. When we stop trying to control what cannot be controlled, we regain power over the one thing that always belonged to us: our own mind. You may not control what happens to you, wrote Epictetus, but you can always control how you respond to it. That single insight separates chaos from peace, despair from resilience. Marcus Aurelius, burdened by wars, plague, and political unrest, returned again and again to this truth. His meditations were a map back to serenity. You have power over your mind, not outside events, he reminded himself. Realize this, and you will find strength. In that line lies the Stoic antidote to suffering. The more we fight what is beyond us, the heavier life becomes. The more we focus on what we can govern, our perceptions, judgments, and choices, the lighter we grow. Control, after all, is seductive. It gives us the illusion of safety. We plan the future to avoid pain. We analyze the past to rewrite it in memory. We rehearse conversations that will never happen, build defenses against fears that never come true. This is the trap the Stoics warned against. Mistaking thought for mastery, imagining that worry could shape the outcome of things. Seneca, in his letters to Lucilius, described this vividly. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. How often do we imprison ourselves within our own minds, trying to control what exists only as possibility? How much peace is lost to rehearsing disasters that never arrive? To the Stoics, freedom was not found in mastering the external world, but in mastering the internal one. Imagine a sailor in a storm. The sea rages, the wind tears at the sails. He cannot calm the ocean, but he can hold the tiller, adjust the ropes, focus on what lies within his reach. To curse the storm is futile. To steer with composure is wisdom. The Stoics lived this way, not because they denied chaos, but because they refused to be ruled by it. This is the heart of Stoic control, choice amid uncertainty. When everything outside shifts, the inner compass remains steady. No wind is favorable, wrote Seneca, to the man who does not know where he is sailing, but to the one who does, even the fiercest storm becomes a teacher. Yet in the modern world, this teaching feels harder to accept. We live surrounded by the illusion of control, algorithms predicting behavior, devices responding instantly to command, schedules that promise mastery over time, and yet beneath it all, anxiety deepens. Because the more we depend on control, the more fragile peace becomes. One unexpected change, a job lost, a loved one gone, a plan undone, and the illusion shatters. The Stoics would say, let it shatter. Only what is false can be broken. Beneath the fragments, reality remains, vast, uncontrollable, and yet profoundly beautiful. To live well is not to command the world, but to move in harmony with it. Think of water flowing over stones. It does not demand that the rocks move, it finds its way around them. That is the Stoic art of control. Supple, adaptive, serene. The wise person, said Epictetus, wills events to happen as they do happen, not as they wish them to. It is not surrender, but alignment. The mind no longer fights reality, it flows with it. This mindset transforms even hardship. When Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal among his generals, he did not curse fate. He simply wrote, "They act according to their own nature, and I must act according to mine." He could not control their choices, but he could choose his response with integrity, patience, and calm. To an outsider, this may look like passivity, but to the Stoics, it was the deepest form of strength. To stay gentle in a harsh world, to remain steady amid loss, to move forward when all control is gone, that is mastery. Modern psychology echoes this wisdom. The concept of locus of control divides the world much like the Stoics did. Those with an internal locus, who focus on their attitudes and choices, tend to be happier and more resilient than those who fixate on external outcomes. The Stoic knew this millennia ago. The mind shapes reality. But knowing is not enough. The practice of Stoicism begins each morning with a simple mental exercise, the premeditation of adversity. Before the day begins, imagine that things may not go as planned. Someone may disappoint you, a project may fail, a stranger may insult you. Instead of fearing it, expect it. Not with pessimism, but with readiness. When you rehearse the loss of control, you become immune to its shock. Life can only surprise those who demand certainty. And in this readiness, peace returns. Because once you stop demanding that life obey you, you begin to see its natural rhythm. Unpredictable, imperfect yet whole. You learn to dance with what is, not with what should be. Epictetus once compared life to a festival. You didn't plan it and you can't control what happens, but you can choose how you attend it. You can complain about the noise or you can enjoy the music. You can lament the end or you can be grateful you were invited at all. The illusion of control robs us of this gratitude. It convinces us that life must meet our terms before we can be content. The Stoics turn this upside down. They teach that peace comes when we meet life on its terms. Marcus Aurelius said it simply, "Love only what happens, not because every event is pleasant, but because every event belongs to the order of nature, and to resist that order is to resist life itself." So the next time you feel control slipping away, when the plan unravels, the person leaves, or the world shifts beneath your feet, pause, breathe, ask, what remains within my power right now? You'll find it's always the same answer, your mind, your choice, your response. There is freedom in that realization, not the freedom of dominance, but of detachment. You stop trying to push the river and instead you float. You discover that control was never the goal, harmony was. And from that harmony comes the quiet strength to live, not as a master of outcomes, but as a partner of fate. Because in the end, life doesn't ask us to control it. It only asks us to meet it fully, open, aware, and unafraid. There comes a moment in every life when holding on becomes heavier than releasing. It might arrive quietly in a late-night silence, in the stillness after a goodbye, or in the hollow ache of something once certain, now gone. In that moment, the soul reaches a threshold. Continue clinging and suffer, or open the hand and finally breathe. The Stoics understood this turning point. They saw letting go not as a loss, but as the natural act of harmony, the way leaves fall when autumn comes, or waves retreat to make room for others. To them, detachment was not rejection of the world, it was love purified of need. Epictetus spoke it plainly. When you kiss your child, say to yourself, tomorrow he may die. Harsh, some think, but his intent was compassion, not coldness. He meant, see clearly what life is, transient, changing, borrowed. Hold what you love, but do not chain yourself to it. The Stoic does not love less because they know loss. They love more deeply because they know it cannot last. Letting go, then, is not the opposite of love. It is love freed from fear. It is the moment we stop demanding that people stay, that situations remain perfect, that time stands still. It is the acceptance that everything, every face, every breath, every sunrise is a gift lent to us for a while. Seneca wrote, "He who fears death will never do anything worthy of a living man." He meant that fear of loss steals life before life is gone. In clinging, we shrink. In releasing, we live fully, because only the unafraid can be present. Marcus Aurelius carried this wisdom into the heart of his empire. Surrounded by war, betrayal, and the fragility of power, he trained himself daily to let go, of praise, of control, of permanence. "Soon you will have forgotten all things," he wrote, "and soon all things will have forgotten you," not as lamentation but liberation. To the Stoic, this fleetingness is not tragic, it's sacred, because when you accept impermanence, gratitude awakens. You stop rushing, you stop grasping. You begin to notice the softness of light on a wall, the kindness in a stranger's eyes, the sound of your own breath. You begin to live not as a collector, but as a witness. Modern life, though, teaches the opposite. We're conditioned to cling, to achievements, possessions, identities, even digital moments. We build archives of ourselves and call it meaning. But meaning, the Stoics would say, lives not in accumulation but in clarity. The more you cling, the less space remains for peace to enter. Letting go begins not in the hands but in the mind. It's the shift from "this must stay" to "this may go." From "I need this" to "I was lucky to have this." The act itself may look invisible, a quiet breath, a silent prayer, a tear released without resistance. But within that small surrender lies the vastness of freedom. When Seneca lost his fortune and was exiled from Rome, he didn't curse the gods. Instead, he wrote that fortune had taken only what never belonged to him. "All that is borrowed must be repaid," he said, and the wise man repays with gratitude. To lose without bitterness, that is Stoic wealth. There's a paradox here. The more we let go, the more we truly possess. Because what we hold lightly cannot enslave us. The Stoic doesn't abandon life. They embrace it with open hands. They know that love is not ownership, that joy is not control, and that peace cannot coexist with clinging. Letting go also means releasing the need for things to be different. Much of our pain comes not from what happens, but from our insistence that it should have happened otherwise. We replay, reanalyze, rewrite, trying to bend the past into something less painful. But as Epictetus reminded his students, do not seek for things to happen as you wish, but wish for things to happen as they do, and you will go on well. To modern ears, that can sound like passivity, but it isn't. It's radical alignment with reality. It's saying yes to the flow of existence, not because it's easy, but because it's real. The Stoic does not deny emotion. They transform it. Sadness becomes reflection. Disappointment becomes teaching. Loss becomes liberation. In this transformation, the self changes shape. You begin to see that nothing truly yours can be taken. Not your integrity, not your values, not your capacity to love again. Those are untouched by fate. Everything else, the titles, the possessions, the roles, were always on loan. Imagine a bird resting on your hand. If you close your grip, you crush it. If you open your palm, it might stay or it might fly. But in both cases, your hand remains gentle, unharmed. This is how the Stoic holds life softly, ready for flight. Even modern psychology recognizes this. The more we cling to control or people or outcomes, the more anxiety grows. True emotional health, much like Stoic wisdom, depends on flexibility, the ability to release what cannot be kept. Acceptance therapy, mindfulness, even cognitive restructuring, all echo the ancient truth that peace begins where resistance ends. Letting go also invites a deeper question. Who am I without what I cling to? Without the roles, the relationships, the past? It's a frightening inquiry, but it's also the beginning of awakening, because when you loosen your grip on what is transient, you discover what is eternal. The Stoics called this your ruling reason, the spark of divine order within. It's the part of you that remains unshaken when the external falls away. This realization doesn't erase grief. The Stoics never taught detachment as numbness. They wept, they mourned, they felt, but their tears flowed without chains. They didn't resist emotion, they allowed it to pass through, leaving the soul clearer for having felt it. Marcus once wrote, "Accept the loss wholly, as if it were no loss at all." He didn't mean indifference. He meant total acceptance, the end of inner struggle. To accept life entirely is to stop fighting the tide and finally float. And in floating, something extraordinary happens. Energy returns. You no longer waste it holding doors closed or clutching ghosts. You begin to live lightly, not carelessly, but freely. You notice how much beauty was hidden behind your effort to control. You notice that peace was never gone. It was only buried beneath resistance. Letting go, the Stoics would say, is not an act of despair. It's an act of faith, not in any deity, but in the order of nature itself. It's trusting that what leaves creates space for what must come, that endings are beginnings in disguise. So when you next feel the ache of release, when something precious slips away, when a chapter closes, remember this: you are not losing your world. You are returning to it. You are remembering that everything you truly need cannot be taken. Seneca said it best: "He who has learned to die has unlearned to be a slave." Letting go is a small rehearsal of that wisdom, dying to illusion, awakening to truth, and perhaps in that freedom, we finally understand what Marcus Aurelius meant when he whispered to himself before sleep: "Everything you cling to is already returning to the earth. Be grateful and be free." Because to let go is not to give up, it's to come home, to the quiet space where peace has been waiting all along. There is a moment quiet, almost imperceptible, when a person realizes that no external force can truly grant or steal peace. It is the instant when the center of control returns inward like a flame shielded from the wind. For the Stoics, this moment marks the beginning of freedom, not political, not material, but spiritual. They called it autarkia, self-sufficiency, the sovereignty of one's own mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." In that single sentence, he captured the essence of the Stoic way, the construction of an inner fortress, a place no grief, insult, or misfortune can breach. To build such a fortress is not to withdraw from the world, nor to deny the existence of pain or loss. It is to establish an inner citadel, an unshakable awareness that remains untouched, even as storms rage outside. Epictetus reminded his students, "You may fetter my leg, but not even Zeus has power over my will." The Stoic doesn't resist what happens, they resist being ruled by it. The mind properly trained becomes its own sanctuary. The walls of this fortress are built not from stone or steel, but from clarity, acceptance, and discipline. Clarity to see what depends on us and what does not. Acceptance, to embrace the world as it unfolds without bitterness, discipline to align our actions with reason rather than impulse. Every thought we examine, every emotion we understand without surrendering to it adds another brick to this inner stronghold. The Stoic is not born strong, they become so through repetition, through choosing calm when anger would be easier, understanding when judgment tempts them, humility when pride flares up. But what threatens this fortress most often is not the world outside, it's the mind itself. Our judgments, our expectations, our fears, these are the saboteurs within. Marcus observed that the things that trouble you are only the things you tell yourself about them. When we identify too deeply with our possessions, our image, our status, or even the people we love, the walls weaken, for now our peace depends on conditions we cannot control. Epictetus often compared the untrained mind to a fortress with open gates. Anything can enter: anger, jealousy, despair. The task then is not to build higher walls, but to install a gatekeeper, the rational mind trained to question every visitor before letting it in. What is this thought? Does it belong to me or to the crowd? Does it serve reason or my ego? In this interrogation lies freedom. Most of our suffering arises not from the event itself, but from the stories we attach to it. To live freely is to notice these stories before they harden into identity. True freedom often begins in solitude. Not loneliness, but intentional aloneness, where the noise of the world quiets and the voice of the soul can be heard again. The Stoics were not hermits, yet they understood the necessity of retreat. Marcus wrote his meditations not as a public work, but as a personal dialogue, a man reminding himself of truths amid chaos. He was emperor, surrounded by people and power, yet he turned inward each night, seeking a space untouched by the empire's demands. In solitude, we discover what remains when all distractions fade, and this remainder is our essence. When the self no longer seeks validation, the fortress grows silent but strong. Seneca once said, "He who is contented with himself has a kingdom. That kingdom is invisible to others, but it is vast. To possess it is to need nothing external for one's peace, no approval, no victory, no escape." Imagine a ship caught in a violent sea. The waves crash, the sails tear, the crew shouts in panic. Yet one sailor, the one who knows the sea, moves calmly, securing ropes, adjusting the mast. He cannot control the storm, but he can control his actions within it. That sailor lives within the inner fortress. His peace is not the absence of the storm, but mastery amid it. The Stoics trained daily for such storms through reflection, visualization, and self-discipline. They imagined loss before it came, practiced discomfort before it struck. Not out of pessimism, but preparation. Marcus wrote, "The art of living is more like wrestling than dancing. Life will not always move with grace, but with resistance." The Stoic meets that resistance not with panic, but presence. Each hardship becomes another test of the fortress, not a threat to destroy it, but a chance to prove its strength. The Stoic's fortress is not built to shut the world out, but to engage it wisely. Strength without compassion hardens into pride, detachment without empathy becomes indifference. The true Stoic is open to love, to friendship, to beauty, yet holds these lightly, aware of their impermanence. When they lose what they cherish, sorrow may visit, but it cannot stay. The mind bows to nature's law, everything borrowed must be returned. This paradox, deep connection without dependence, is the architecture of the fortress. You walk among others, care deeply, yet remain free from the tyranny of outcomes. Epictetus told his students, "When you kiss your child, whisper to yourself, tomorrow he may die." Not to diminish love, but to purify it, to love without clinging. The fortress then is not cold stone, but tempered steel, compassion guided by wisdom. To build and maintain this inner citadel, practice is essential. The Stoics did not theorize in comfort, they lived philosophy as a discipline of the soul. Here are the core exercises that sustain the fortress. The morning preparation. Before engaging the world, remind yourself of its nature. As Marcus said, "Today I shall meet with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness." Foreseeing this, you enter the day ready, unshaken. The pause before judgment. When emotion arises, pause. Ask, is this within my control? If not, release it. Each pause strengthens the gatekeeper of the mind. Evening reflection. At day's end, review your actions. Where did you act with reason? Where did impulse rule? Seneca called this nightly audit medicine for the soul, voluntary discomfort. Occasionally deny yourself comfort or pleasure. Skip a meal, walk in the cold, sleep without luxury. This reminds the mind I can endure. Memento mori. Reflect on mortality not with fear but with reverence. To remember death is to awaken fully to life. It shrinks trivial worries and magnifies gratitude. Through these practices, the fortress grows not in arrogance but in serenity. It becomes not a wall but a field of stillness where life's noise fades into silence, and one finally hears the quiet voice of wisdom. At the heart of Stoicism lies a radical idea: you are unconquerable, not because you can control all things, but because nothing external can command your mind without your consent. The world may burn, empires may fall, fortunes may vanish, yet your reason, your virtue, your capacity to choose how to respond, these remain. That is the inner fortress. When you stand within it, you no longer chase freedom, you are freedom. You see the truth Marcus Aurelius saw in the dim light of his tent surrounded by enemies, that serenity is not a gift of circumstance, but a birthright of consciousness. And so the Stoic does not flee the world. They walk calmly through it, untouched, yet deeply engaged, humble, yet unbreakable, free. Not because they have everything, but because they have themselves. There comes a moment after the storm of emotion has passed when silence no longer feels empty. It feels alive. It's the kind of silence that doesn't demand anything from you. It doesn't judge or push. It simply welcomes you home. The Stoics knew that this was the truest kind of renewal, not found in movement or striving, but in stillness. When all our attachments have loosened their grip, when the need to control has dissolved, what remains is not absence, but presence. The presence of the soul, awake, undistracted, whole. Marcus Aurelius often returned to this truth. Nowhere, he wrote, can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. He knew that the world outside would always move, people would come and go, fortune would rise and fall. But inside there existed a stillness untouched by circumstance. The task of philosophy was to rediscover it. When you let go, truly let go, you begin to see that this stillness has been waiting for you all along. It was never lost, only hidden beneath the noise of desire, fear, and constant comparison. The Stoic path is not about renouncing life, but about uncovering this deeper rhythm beneath it. Stillness is not escape. It's awareness without interference. It's the space where thought softens into observation and observation into acceptance. In this state, the world appears as it truly is, impermanent, fleeting, beautiful in its passing. You no longer cling to each moment as if it could last forever, because you've seen that it doesn't need to. Each breath, each sunset, each goodbye, they become enough, complete in their transience. This is what the Stoics meant by renewal, not a constant rebirth through external success or excitement, but a quiet restoration of balance, a soul unburdened by excess wanting. The Roman philosopher Seneca described it perfectly in one of his letters. He who is contented with what he has is rich. True wealth, then, is not measured by accumulation, but by sufficiency, the ability to rest in what is. And in that rest, the soul is reborn. Think of your life as a great tide. Each day rises with demands, emotions, decisions. The tide comes in. And each night, as you return inward, it goes out. What remains is the still shore beneath it all. That shore is you, the unchanging self that watches without clinging, that loves without possession, that breathes without control. Epictetus once said, "Seek not for things to happen as you wish, but wish for things to happen as they do, and your life will go smoothly." To awaken the soul, we must first stop fighting the current. When we surrender our insistence on how things should be, we rediscover how sacred they already are. This surrender is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the recognition that the universe does not need our resistance to unfold as it must. The river of time does not need us to push against it. It needs us to float awake, aware, alive. And so renewal begins not with new desires, but with an emptying of them. As we let go of attachment, we create space for gratitude, for peace, for stillness. This space is not void, it is fertile. It's where the soul grows again, quietly and visibly, like dawn light spreading through a forest. In our modern world, stillness is often seen as unproductive. We measure our worth by motion, by progress, by growth, by what we've achieved today. But if the mind never stops, it never heals. If the heart never pauses, it never feels. The Stoic Way reminds us that rest is not retreat, it's preparation. Even Marcus Aurelius, emperor of the most powerful empire on earth, paused to write, reflect, and breathe. In the midst of command, he sought quiet not as escape, but as maintenance of the soul. We too need that maintenance. The renewal of the soul is not a single moment of awakening, it's a daily returning. Each evening when you set aside your phone, your work, your worries, you are returning. Each time you forgive someone instead of holding on, you are returning. Each time you choose to be present instead of distracted, you are renewing. Stillness does not demand perfection. It only asks for awareness, a willingness to be here now fully with what is. And that awareness transforms ordinary life into sacred practice. The Stoics understood that the truest freedom is not in changing the world, but in mastering how we meet it. Stillness trains us to meet the world gently, to see clearly, act wisely, and rest deeply. If you close your eyes and listen, there's a rhythm beneath everything, the sound of your own breath. The heartbeat that's been with you since birth. It has never left you. No matter what you've lost, what you've feared, what you've outgrown, this rhythm has remained. That is your connection to the eternal. Not in the past, not in the future, but in the now. The Stoics called it living according to nature. To them, nature was not just the trees or the stars, it was the order, the harmony of existence. To live according to nature was to move in rhythm with reality rather than against it, to stop clinging to what's gone and awaken to what remains. This moment, the one you are in right now, is enough. The Stoic way to renewal is not about fixing life, but seeing it clearly. And when you see it clearly, you find that the peace you were searching for was never gone. It was simply buried under noise, waiting to be remembered. You are listening to Still Within, where ancient wisdom becomes a gentle mirror for the modern soul. If this reflection has brought you a little peace, a little quiet, let it stay with you tonight. And when you wake, carry that stillness into your day, not as something to hold, but as something to live. Because when the soul is still, it renews itself endlessly. The Stoics knew this. Now so do you.